Hello there, my family and friends as well. So I thought I'd create another video which is using a combination of the new synth effects on the Headrush Prime and a core. So we've got the electric synth effect, and we've also got the hybrid synth effect. So what we'll do is we'll quickly go over these. On the electric electric effect, we have a scene, and it's got two individual switch states. The hybrid doesn't have one, it's just straight, which is fine. Which is okay. Also, I've got a splicer. So during the hybrid audio you heard, the splicer comes on towards the middle of that particular audio example, and it sounds really nice. So what we'll do is we'll go and have a look at the assigned states. Let's have a look at the scene first and look at the switch states. So for switch state 1 on the electric scene, these are the effects which are on. We look at the second switch state, and all these are also the effects which are on or off, and vice versa on the first one. You see there there's some off, and you see there there's some on. Scenes are great. I'm really glad that Headrush done this. I think, to be honest with you, what I feel between this and the Fender Tourmaster Pro is this is better to use and easier to use than the Tourmaster Pro. Tourmaster Pro was just a fight trying to get the switch states to work under their scenes. I preferred this. It just works absolutely flawlessly, and I'm used to this. And bear in mind, I gigged the Tourmaster Pro for 12 months, and I just went back to the Headrush because it's just a better product. I think for me anyway, it's a better product for me. All digital models are very, very similar, but I think for me Headrush is just works, and I just love using the Headrush anyway. So let's put it back onto there. Excuse me. So what we'll do now is we'll go look at the settings that we used. Again, we're using a flute preset on the electric synth effect. I'm just going to slightly go down there nice and slow for you so you can see which is chosen for this particular effect. It's trial and error. Some of these effects are so big, and there's a lot you can do with them. You don't think at the particular time when you do, but changing the intensity and the tack release and little things like this makes a massive difference. It really, really does. So you need to spend a bit of time on this to get that particular sound you're looking for. Octave effects are great because obviously what you can do is you can raise it an octave or lower it an octave. The difference between the core model and the Prime model is really a lot of differences. It comes with, obviously with a volume pedal, but also you've got the extra options of foot switches, which I prefer when I've been playing live in the bigger venues rather than just with the core. I just use that one for clubs and pub gigs, but it works great. So small, it's a small footprint, and then people are starting thinking that actually sounds really good. So I'm turning more people onto the Headrush, and they're moving away from traditional pedal setups and going to digital platforms. So if you're watching this Headrush, I could always pass on some names for you, and if you can send me a t-shirt, Headrush t-shirt, that would be great. Bear in mind, I've been asking one since 2018, and Nathan McFarlane got one, so I think I should get one as well. So there you go. So my little grumble for this morning. So what we'll do is we'll go and look at the follow-on effects from the electric synth setting. Arpeggiator we're using sounds lovely. Again, you know, you can choose various different speeds and various different modes and so on and so on. Not very much to choose from in there, to be honest, but those are the settings I've actually used, and they work really well. Pitch tracking, poly and mono, again, fantastic for strumming chords and individual finger picking notes, for example. That works really, really well. And all the settings I've used for this. And if we go to the next one, I'm not using any custom equalization at all. It's all completely flat. And we'll look at the effects in each switch state under each scene. So switch state 1, we're using auto swell, boost, stereo doubler, multi-chorus, dynamic delay, 11 reverb, multi-chorus, and another old one which is air reverb, using the customized impulse response. But I'm not going to show that because people say, can I have a copy of that, and I paid for it. So just look at your own impulse responses. You might have other ways of actually doing, using various different effects and so on and so on for your ambient or cinematic guitar stuff, but this is what I generally use for these. I use custom ones generally, and I have been given, going back a few years ago, someone from the site, from me YouTube channel, sent me a big pack of impulse responses, and there was over 100 in them, and I've gone through about half of them. And they are really, really good. I think the Steve Vai ones were good. Some custom Steve Stevens ones. Some of the guitarists I actually like from the 80s, so I've been given some great impulse responses. I'm actually waiting for one at the moment, which I really can't wait. And that video will probably be out in the next few months. It's from a guitarist in the 80s that not very many people sort of cover. I'm not going to say his name because little alarm bells will start ringing and so on and so on, but I'm going to create a video for that, and I'm using the Quest guitar because it has a phenomenal function, and it sounds really, really nice, and it gives you that 80s sound. So we'll go over that at some point. So they're the effects we've used for the first switch state. Let's use the second one. You can see the second one is the effects change. So the boost's still on. As you notice with that, we're still using the flute preset. We're not using a different one. So we've got white boost, smart harmony, which sounds really nice. Some of these effects are fantastic. They really are. Headrush have done a fantastic effect. We're keeping us all up to date with effects. I've been asking for synth effects for at least a few years, and they've delivered them. I think a lot of people have been sort of poking them, saying, come on, get some synth effects, because the Headrush got everything else. And I've tried for quite a number of years, really, trying to create synth effects without using the synth effects we've got now. And they've actually sounded quite good. I'm using delays and reverbs and other effects, such as like the 8-bit crush and some modulating effects, such as the ring modulation. And a lot of people don't like those, but to create individual shapes and special effects and such, they work really, really well. So I'm going to stop rabbiting on and get on with the video. So that's the general setting. We've got voice 1 and we've got voice 2. I'll go over this one more. I'm not going to do this again because everything is all flat EQ'd. Next effect is the old 11 reverb, which is a lovely reverb. I'm using the Cathedral preset and the mode, so you can choose the mode if you want to. There's quite a lot in there. Tails are off. I just left them off for this one. Multi-chorus, again delay, which came out a few firmware updates a while ago, and it's nice. I mean, we do a lot of variations in there as well, and play about with them and get the right sound. Also as well, we got the same custom impulse response. I'll use the second. Oh no, use the second. Oh no, I used the second switch state. So what we're doing now is we'll move on to the hybrid, which there's no scene on this at all. So this is a pretty quick one. Look at the effect, the hybrid synth. I'm just going to go down there nice and slow for you so you can see what settings I've actually chose. I've just started using the web editor. And I think it's not bad, actually. We've been asking for something like this for a good couple of years, and it's fine. If they ever bring anything out, that would be great. I mean, the Boss GT1000 and the other platform modelers have them anyway, but I quite like this, actually. There we go, and scroll back up again in case you missed anything. And there are the settings. Again, the one that's the monster out of all the synth effects we're going to is the organ one. And it really is, and I've got a video coming out that's showing you what I've done with that. And that is just, I think on that one I'm just using arpeggios, and it sounds really, really nice. So jump on the arpeggiator. As you can see, there's nothing on there. Pitch tracking, obviously using poly again, and I was going to say Apollo, poly again, and the settings we've used for that. I'm not using any equalization. Under the hybrid we've got some presets. The brass is quite nice. They're all really good, and you just spend a bit of time to shape things, because some of the effects you can come out with are actually really, really phenomenal. They really are. They've done a great job with this Headrush. They really, really have. And, you know, we had the Boss GM800, which is great. Don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic product. But Headrush have brought these out, and it's just like, okay, great. You don't need a rolling pickup as such. You can use on a traditional guitar pickup. And the tracking's not bad at all on any of these effects. But if you want to do leads, just use the mono. Polyphonic is just for chords, really, and individual finger picking, and it works fine on both, really. But it's whatever you want to use. So we'll go over the effects. Boost, stereo doubler. I am going over these because we are using the same effects as before, but in case you missed them, it's probably easy just showing you them again. Light, an old, I mean, this is an old effect, and you do have a lot of variations, and great, absolutely great multi-chorus effect. Then settings we used: dynamic delay, multi-chorus, and that's it for our hybrid effect, or our hybrid scene, I suppose. So we'll pop on the splicer. Now this effect is absolutely brilliant. This is a monster. So we're using on the splicer, we're using the preset bassline. There is quite a few more to choose from. And this is the one I've used, which is bassline, which works fine. Which works okay. So let's scroll back down to, and we'll just a little bit, slightly move down a little bit so you can see all the settings I've chose. There we go. And that's it. Nothing else in there. Great. Category polymetric, but if you click on the drop down, you do get a few variations of choosing things, and there's some in the category. There's some absolutely phenomenal, brilliant effects, but just go over them and change things. You know, you get your high pass filter and your mix and so on, your BPMs, and you just need to play about with it. Spend a bit of time on these effects because you really, really need to. So with the hybrid audio example you heard is just a normal sort of keyboard, and you click on the splicer, and it just gives you variation, breaks the notes down, but it sounds really, really nice. What we'll do is we'll go to the assign, but we will have a look. And yeah, we've only got switch state, and these are the effects on that particular switch state. So I should have gone at that beginning, but I thought I'd jump on it now. There we go. As you can see, there's nothing selected for the second one. It's just one scene. Let's cancel that. Output block and our input block. There we go. And that's it. So it is a long one. Sorry, ladies and gents, for creating something like this. It's a bit long, but hope you enjoyed this. I've got one coming out after this one. This one's based on the DB33, and it's in a monster sound. It really, really is, and it sounds absolutely brilliant. I did like with the electric setting, for example, electric scenes. I wanted to create something a bit more angelic and cinematic, and it sounded really, really nice. Individual sounds as such, using different effects. Hybrid was more of a synth sound with a bit of a twist when the splicer kicks in. But there we go. So this is just really scratching the surface of what can be created using these effects. So thanks for watching, and I'll create another one soon. So bye bye for now.